Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to episode number 8 of my trip to Las Vegas. As you can see, I've donned the bucket hat today. It is 37 degrees, or actually it might be 39 degrees today. And let's just say my ears just tend to protrude a little bit, get a little bit burnt, as does the back of my neck. So I've got the bucket hat on today. And it's a little bit different. What I'm going to do today is actually just go for a walk down the strip, see what we can get up to. I think I always like to sort of go down to the sort of Caesar's Palace, where the Mirage used to be as well, past the Bellagio fountains, all that sort of stuff, and to see what's happening. And I thought I'd probably do, because there's not much going on today. There was the press conference this morning. Now I didn't go to the press conference. I was told actually yesterday that it was only for the boxes and the press and all that sort of stuff. So then when I found out you could actually get in, it's like, I can't be bothered sort of going over there now. So I watched it on YouTube. Look, it was hot and I couldn't be bothered walking over there, to be honest. And let's face it, a lot of the press conferences are just, the same old, and all the fighters sort of said what you'd expect them to say, didn't they? I mean, a very respectful press conference too. I don't think anyone really said or did anything. A little bit aggro at the end when they faced off with Isaac Pitbull Cruz Figueroa. They sort of had to be separated a little bit, but apart from that I thought it was pretty tame. All the fighters sort of said, hey, calm down a bit there, buddy. I think all fighters sort of said what they needed to say. You could tell they're a little bit over the whole thing at the moment, with all the interviews and the press conferences and the face-offs and all that sort of stuff. So I wasn't that stressed about missing it. But yeah, today, because apart from that there wasn't or isn't too much sort of happening, the weigh-ins tomorrow, I thought I'd sort of do a bit of an impromptu walking boxing special edition on the streets of Las Vegas. Now I haven't got my little mate Neil with me. I do miss the little fella. By now he'd be dragging me along the street, but I think he'd be pretty much struggling with his with some heat at the moment. But so I thought we'd just chat about a few different things going on over here and what's going on in the boxing world at the moment. There's obviously a lot going on this weekend. There's the, of course, obviously this fight. There's the Bam Rodriguez fight. There's the big fight, of course, with Usyk and Dubois. So it's going to be a big weekend of boxing. UFC in there as well. So back there in Australia, lots of different options to watch. Well, not just Australia, but around the world. Different things you can watch over the weekend. But as I walk, where am I walking past at the moment? This is the Park MGM. So I'm heading down the Las Vegas Strip. This is Las Vegas Boulevard. I'm going to go past the Aria, then past the Bellagio. I can see the Trump Tower down further. Am I still allowed to say his name around here? I don't know. I don't care. Trump Tower. I would like to stay there actually. The problem is it's way too far down the strip. I'll get some footage as we go. I'll just sort of cut this. I won't do the normal walking boxing thing and do the whole thing in one take. I'll cut and get some footage of different things as we go, and as we approach discuss different topics. But so I head down past towards the Bellagio. On the right hand side there's the Planet Hollywood and the Paris, towards down there Treasure Island, and where the Mirage used to be. So where am I at the moment? Just heading up towards the Aria. So yeah, as I said, I thought we'd just discuss a few different things. There's things like today, there's obviously the press conference in Usyk and Dubois. There's Oscar's clapback, Eubank Ben, what's happening there. What else did I see there? Could we see Mayweather Pacquiao 2? I mean, lots of different things to discuss. But first of all, what I'm going to do is grab a coffee. I think there's a Starbucks around here somewhere. I'm not that overly hungry after last night. Now, for everyone asking, I only got about halfway through that Sunday, but it was a fair bit, and I tipped the rest down the sink. It was a fair bit. So I just feel like a coffee today. I'll probably just, and I sort of find that actually when I'm over here I get sick of the food really quick. So what I normally do is probably just eat sort of once a day, or maybe I'll get a muffin or something with my coffee or something during the day. But I tend to lose my appetite a lot. The food here, when you're eating takeaway food every single day, even if it's sort of goodish sort of food, does take its toll. So always about this time, cut the food back to not much at all. And keep the fluids up though. I've already had a litre today, and I normally drink about 3 litres of water a day as well, especially here, probably more here, because it does sap it out here. So I'm going to try and find a Starbucks, get a coffee, and I'll have a chat about what's going on in the world of boxing this week. A little bit more activity today on the strip. That is Planet Hollywood over there. A bit of work happening back there. The MGM Grand you can sort of see in the distance back there. But as the weekend gets closer, that little boulevard down there, Las Vegas Boulevard, is just jam-packed, and it takes a brave man to be driving along out there, whether you're driving yourself or in a taxi or an Uber. Pretty hair-raising stuff. And this here is the Paris. I think that is 3/4 scale, I think. Been up there before, nearly shit myself. Didn't think it was that high. Really nice hotel. I've never actually stayed there, but been through there many times and had a look through. Really cool. Over there is the Bellagio. We might go through there on the way back. That's obviously where the fountains are. Probably obviously better at night, but I'll see if they're on when I'm coming back past. But I'm going to cross back over there. Caesar's Palace just down here is where we're tracking, behind that bus. And really looking forward to getting a bottle of water and a coffee and sort of resetting, because even though it's probably only been about a 25-minute walk so far, you can definitely feel the heat. Better view of the strip. It's through glass, unfortunately. They put these glass barriers up so you can't sort of get over there and I suppose throw stuff or jump over or whatever. There's the south end of the strip up there. Going to head over to Planet Hollywood. I think I can remember they had a Starbucks over there, but if not, there'll be one somewhere along here. Alright, Planet Hollywood didn't have a Starbucks, so I know there's a good food court down at Caesar's Palace. So I'm going to walk down there. It's nice and cool in there as well, good food court, so I'll be able to sit and relax when we get there. But first to the press conference this morning, as I said, I thought it was pretty vanilla, as they say. One thing I'm happy about though with Tim, now this is not sort of, I suppose, taking into account the love fest that the Australian media have for Tim, and that's cool, it's not his fault. Some of the stories that I've seen written, and he's going to do this and going to do that. Look, I was a little bit worried that we might have shades of probably the first Fundora fight, his first experience here in Vegas. He might get a little bit ahead of himself, and I'm not going to say cocky, but as I said, maybe get ahead of himself just a little bit and get a little bit caught up in the whole thing. But I'm just really happy this time that regardless of all the shit that the Australian boxing media are putting out there, he's actually remained like really level-headed. I've been really impressed with Tim, and I think his demeanour this week. I was just going to say also the Murtazalia fight was probably the other one too, where of course he probably got ahead of himself as well. But yeah, I think he's really looked like he's remained focused. Just excuse this music here. That I think he's remained level-headed, focused, and he looks switched on. He really does. And so no matter what happens on Saturday night, I don't think there'll be any excuses. Hopefully, this sort of Tim Tszyu will be good enough to get the job done. More focused type of guy, and as I said, not getting caught up in all the razzmatazz of Vegas. That he will be really ready to go, and you know he'll right the wrongs, if that's what you want to call it, of just over a year ago. So I haven't actually seen any of the boxing media here. I only got here yesterday, but I'm sure they'll be all at the press conference, the weigh-in tomorrow. But yeah, really impressed. I think I really like what I've heard from the whole team. They keep focusing on the cut from last year, all the media and stuff. I just wish Tim would say, hey, look, forget about the cut. Let's just move on. That was a year ago. Let's just not focus on that. Let's focus on this week. So yeah, apart from that, as I said before, it was just a bit of a so-so press conference. Everyone looked bored. Everyone wanted just to get out of there. Don't forget, they'll be all starting to cut weight at the moment, or about to tonight. You would think that it shouldn't be too hard in this weather. Tim actually looked really lean. He looked really good. So I mean, obviously training over here for however long it's been with the weather and everything, he should make the weight cut no problems. But that's what they'll be focused on today. They don't really want to be worrying about having a microphone shoved in the face for the 100th time. They want to get back. They want to probably just lay low for today, whack the sweatsuit on tonight, do a bit of a final sort of hour or so of light training, and they'll all and you know, they'll make weight tomorrow. So, but yeah, it's going to be one for the ages, I think, judging by the demeanour and the words coming from both guys. So let's hope it's well. They keep sort of going back to the blood. I'm just focusing on the fight itself and the war that hopefully will happen, and hopefully for our man, he gets the job done. All right, so this is Caesar's Palace. This is the drop-off and pick-up point for cars, taxis, Ubers, limos, all that sort of stuff. You probably remember this site here as one of the filming locations for The Hangover. This is where the boys, after the big night out, were waiting for their car to turn up, waiting for the Mercedes, and they delivered the cop car. So that happened right here. And right here is the reception scene in The Hangover as well, where Alan asked whether it's pager friendly and if Caesar really lived here. That happened right there, and the fountain here. There's actually one of the photos in the credits where they're looking through the camera. There's a photo of actually Alan in this fountain right here. Alright, so this is the food court, and I thought I'd better get something to eat and drink. You can see there they spelt my name London. You get all sorts of weird and wonderful ways how to spell my name with the accent trying to describe it to them. But that there, ladies and gentlemen, is $22 US, which equates to about 30 Australian dollars. That's why you don't buy on the strip. I always like coming into Caesar's Palace just to look at the things like these fountains, and even just the roof for the effects, like you're outside. Okay, I saw a little bit of other news too. That looks like the Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn fight might be cancelled, the rematch. Apparently Riyadh Season and Turki Al-Sheikh have wiped their hands of it. So I'm not sure what's happened there, because they were of course behind the first one, and the Ring magazine of course. So now without the backing of Riyadh Season and Turki Al-Sheikh, you got to wonder if they can come up with the money to make the fight happen, because they would have been paid overs for the first one, and obviously they all thought they were going to get the same amount of money, especially Chris Eubank. But by all accounts, Conor Benn signed the contract, but Chris Eubank didn't. And so the fight was announced for September the 20th. Now it looks like that is not going to happen, and Conor Benn, I think, is going to go back to 147 and probably look at a fight with a winner of this weekend's fight between Pacquiao and Barrios, you would think. I don't think he's going to go near Norman or probably even Haney, I wouldn't have thought, but that sort of seems a more logical sort of path for Conor Benn. But you got to wonder what happened. They obviously made the first fight a massive success, and now here we are, and they've pulled the rug, and it's not going to happen. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Speaking of Turki Al-Sheikh, actually, he has stated that there will be no pay-per-views going forward. So it sounds great in theory. This is with the DAZN platform. I'll go this way. He was saying is no more pay-per-views. They've ruined the sport. So we're going to have a pass or something, probably similar to UFC pass and all that sort of stuff. But what they plan to do is up the subscriptions. So let's see how much that is, because for every action there's always a reaction, remember? So it might be one thing to say, well, it's all right, we're not going to have any pay-per-view charges anymore, but your subscription's going to go up, probably double or whatever it might be. So I'll just go around here. So yeah, plenty to play out there. But look, hey, look, great in theory, fantastic in theory. Jesus, that's not with me. So yeah, that's a big bit of news. But look, as I said, really good in theory. I hope they work something out, and it's just a yearly pass. Although they did say that when it first started, didn't they? DAZN. They did say there will be no pay-per-views, and didn't last long, did it? And I'm not quite sure what we ever pay here a month. I just pay mine by the year now. It's about, I think it works out to about $12 average a month or something. But yeah, so if that is the case, and if it does come to fruition and he's true to his word, it'd be great. But as I said, for every action there's always a negative or positive reaction, and I've got a feeling that yeah, we might see the subscriptions go up noticeably. I'm going to just go across here. I've got about 10 seconds to get across. We'll give it a go anyway. But we're going to head over to the Bellagio now. Fantastic casino, one of the better ones on the strip, and see if we can catch the fountains. Check this place out. This is the conservatory at the Bellagio. They do different themes all year. Christmas and Easter and Valentine's Day, whatever it might be. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Alright, that was a little bit of a reverse action shot of the Bellagio fountains, by the way. I just came out and it was on. The view behind me is the proper view, the best view. I'll get that. I'll probably wait and get that at night, I think. Probably tonight or tomorrow night I'll come back and do that, but you've got a little bit of an idea of what happens there with the fountains. A great song too, to do it too, Celine Dion. But Oscar's clapback, alright. So we knew this was coming, didn't we? We knew he was going to have a real crack at Belunga, and so he should. I mean, the way Belunga behaved at the press conference the other day was, I thought, was just embarrassing for him, and probably even more embarrassing for the fact that he actually got knocked out by Shiraz pretty easily in the end. And a lot of questions are being asked. I think his wife might have, this is Belunga's wife, might have had a few things to say. Something was wrong and all this sort of stuff. Look, I just think on the night he was just knocked out by a better fighter, and I think the way to break it down is that Belunga is a classic example of a very average fighter who thinks he's a very good fighter. That's, I suppose, it in a nutshell. And there's plenty of them out there, don't get me wrong, been around this game a long time to see it, is that you get fighters that are in the gyms and, you know, beating up lesser lights and getting pats on the back by everyone telling them how good a fighter they are. They get matched up against, as I say, tomato cans. And then they get in there with a real fight and get found out. Now, a lot of people liked his performance against Canelo, even though he barely won a round. I saw it the other way. I thought it was just another case of Canelo just doing enough to get the win and not really caring about sort of getting into a scrap. I think he knew pretty early that it was going to be an easy night for him, and pretty much just went through the motions, just like he did against Williams School. So I wouldn't read too much into Belunga's performance in that, because I've got a feeling that if Canelo really wanted to pick it up and get him out of there, he would have. So I just remember thinking, geez, I'm not quite sure this guy is what they've all hyped him up to be, especially himself. And I just thought, even though the first few rounds were pretty dull, I thought that Shiraz sort of looked the better boxer. He looked a little bit tentative though, Shiraz, and I can understand why he didn't look good in his last fight. But when he opened up, it was just a good night. And the scary thing for me for Belunga is that when he got knocked down the first time, there was no semblance of any defensive skills, any survival sort of tactics, nothing like that. He just didn't know, and he was sort of, actually it wasn't as bad, but it reminded me a little bit of Tim last year against Bakram Murtazaliev, in that probably hadn't necessarily trained for being in that situation, and I just thought he just had no idea what to do, and he was hurt or under pressure, and he was bombed out of there in what was at the start of the fifth round. So but yeah, Oscar, look, quite rightly so, had a crack at him and just say, look, just be careful before you start disrespecting a legend. And no matter what you think of Oscar De La Hoya, he is a legend, mate, no mistake about that. And he got the last laugh. I mean, Belunga throwing cash at him the other day, and the wig and all that sort of stuff. I thought actually Oscar went pretty easy on him. I thought it might have been a little bit more harsh than what he said, but everything he said was right. Don't disrespect legends of the sport, no matter what you think of him. And Oscar's done this really, really well, by the way. He's making fun of himself, which really just takes the sting out of everything that people say. So when people bring out the wigs and the stilettos and the fishnet stockings and all that sort of stuff, Oscar's already brought it out. He just laughs it off and actually raises it himself. So it really just takes out all the effect of it. So it's pretty much lost its steam, all this, the fun and games that people have about Oscar's past. So, and of course he had a go at Eddie Reneso, Canelo's trainer as well. It's the 7th fighter to test positive that's been under his watch at some stage. Now, he did make a good point. He said, well, you would have thought after the first or second fighter tested positive that they might have maybe put the blowtorch on Eddie Reneso, and he's just said, well, I'll just have to supervise a little bit better. I just think he's got off really easily, Eddie Reneso, because questions do have to be asked. So I'm sure he will probably, wouldn't be surprised if his fighters get a little bit more scrutiny down the track and they get tested a little bit more often. But yeah, it was an entertaining clapback. He doesn't do them as often as he used to. I think he's been sort of pulled in the line a little bit by Turkey and everyone else. And look, there hasn't really been a lot for him to get excited about lately, has there? But the last Saturday night one was probably the one he's been waiting for, wasn't it? The epic clapback at Edgar Berlanga. And I hope Berlanga takes this as a bit of a sign, a bit of a clip, just to watch what you're saying about people until you've actually achieved something. So anyway, so how good is that in the background there? The Bellagio. It would have been good if the fountains were going, but as I said, we'll come back either tonight or tomorrow night and get them in their glory under the lights of Las Vegas. So all right, I'm going to head back up the strip now. I'm not quite sure what I'll do. I'll see what else I can find, but later on I think I'm going to go play some poker. I haven't done that for a little while, for the last couple of trips I've been here, and I love just sitting down in the air-conditioned casino. And the only time I'll probably have a beer or two while I'm here. I very, very rarely sort of drink, but normally when I go play some poker I'll have a Corona or two and just enjoy that and a bit of relaxation. See maybe if I can catch up with some of the other media here. I did speak to Noonan Boy the other day. I'll try and catch up with him at some stage. I think Jay McAllister as well. But we'll see what we can do. But if not, we'll just continue to wander, do our thing, and hopefully bring you a little bit of what Las Vegas has to offer. This here is actually my favourite part of the strip. Just it's clean and just picturesque. So that's the New York there. Heading down the strip, the south end, and it's the MGM up there. But yeah, it's just a nice part of the strip. All right, another thing I saw today, Canelo Crawford, of course, September the 13th at Allegiant Stadium. I think tickets go on sale tomorrow, from what I've seen. Now, they're talking about it being a 3-day event, a bit like the WWE do with WrestleMania. So they're going to have 3 days of fights, 20 fights on over the course of those 3 days. And apparently by doing that, it'll be the biggest sort of numbers for an event of all time. And of course, I keep comparing it to Mayweather and Pacquiao. Look, it's not Mayweather-Pacquiao. I don't care what the numbers say. I don't care how they spin it and how they work it. So the numbers are bigger as far as crowd numbers and gate numbers and pay-per-view numbers. Well, there's no pay-per-view, is there? It's on Netflix. So they're going to say, 20 to 25 million people watched the event, so it just blew Mayweather Pacquiao out the water, and De La Hoya and Mayweather and Hagler Leonard, all those great fights over the years, Tyson Holyfield. But the facts are, I think we all know, it's a manufactured fight. So unlike the other fights that have marinated over time and sort of built over the years to a crescendo of the big event, and it was massive when it happened. This has been a manufactured fight. So it's just two guys, two great fighters, by the way, who have just plucked out of their divisions and just put them together. So I'm not sure what you guys think about it, but I don't yet, anyway, feel the hype. I don't feel the blood pumping. I don't feel the anticipation of this fight. Now, I'm sure it'll be great. Is it the fight of the century? Absolutely not. And as I said, I don't care what the numbers say. It is not a bigger fight than Mayweather-Pacquiao as far as fan interest and anticipation goes, and the build-up. I did see they're looking at some of the ticket prices for the packages, VIP packages, and going up to $100,000. That's the way they're spinning it. They're taking ordinary seats So seats that might cost $300 or $400 normally, they're slapping a bit of a VIP experience on top of it, selling them for up to like 10 grand onwards. So yeah, look, again, is it the sheep in wolves clothing as far as all this sort of stuff goes, making it look like they're doing the right thing, but just, you know, shaking your hand with one hand and pickpocketing you out the other? I don't know, but when you've got packages, like I saw a few of them, and some of them, as I said, are up, the seats are up in the stands, but you know, you might get a little bit of a pre-drink cocktail party beforehand, and a special lanyard and a special ticket, maybe a photo opportunity or priority seating at the weigh-in or some shit like this, and they're slapping, you know, $10,000-$15,000 on these tickets. So look, I know they've got to make the money. I understand that Canelo and Crawford aren't going to come cheap, but I just think we just got to be a little bit careful. I'll be interested to see what the actual tickets cost when they come out, without all the VIP packaging and what they're worth, because in a 65,000 seat arena, if you are up in the stands, it might be great to say you're there. That's probably about it. You're going to be watching the fight on your on the big screens there. So if you're paying $500, $600, $700 and you're up in the stands, and as I said, it's great to say, hey, I was there, but you know, sometimes, take it from me, I've been to fights at stadiums and it's not great. I don't like to go to fights in stadiums. I like to go to fights in arenas. That's what they're made for. So anyway, I'm sure all will be revealed. Everyone's got their own take on it. That's cool. But when I saw that they're looking at these VIP packages, I thought, yeah, I don't know. And as I said, I'll say it again, no matter what they do and how much or what the numbers say, it is not a bigger fight than Mayweather Pacquiao. I don't think it's a bigger fight than what Tyson Holyfield was. I don't even think it's probably as big a fight as Usyk and Fury, is it? Well, probably. I don't know. Everyone has their own opinion, but as I said before, I just think it's a manufactured fight, put together fight. It hasn't evolved on its own, which I think will always have an asterisk beside it. But anyway, let me know what you think. That there is a commemorative belt for the MGM Grand. It says here, first fight was on May 7, 1994 between Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and Frankie Randall. So what else is that? 279 title fights. And then the biggest night there, obviously Mayweather Pacquiao, largest gate in history, 73.2 million, and over 400 million in pay-per-view records. Yeah, try and beat that, Canelo and Crawford. You got no hope if it was on the open market. But keep dreaming. And this is where it's all going to happen on Saturday night here in Vegas. Now, normally you could go and have a look at the Grand Garden Arena, but it's like they've got it all locked off. Security there. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but tomorrow the weigh-in, and then Saturday night the fights. A few of the stats for the Tszyu Fundora fight. So Sebastian Fundora, height 6'5.5". Tim is 5'8.5", although he did say it was 5'10", but anyway. Reach 80 inches to Fundora, 70 inches for Tim. Oh, that's going to be, and the same weight. That is amazing. Well, I've just walked through. I'm not sure I'll be able to go in there though. That is the media centre. Some guards over there will probably stop me going into the Grand Garden. But anyway, this is the entrance here. And the media centre right there. Alright, the last thing on the agenda to talk about was the other night, Paul Gallen, Sonny Bill Williams. Now, that a few people messaged me and everything, asked my opinion and comments. I have not seen 1 second of it, sorry guys. I have no interest in it. Look, even if I was an NRL fan, I don't think I would be really enthused about the fight. I mean, how can you get enthused about or excited about a fight, a professional fight, between two grown men, and the fight in 2-minute rounds? So I just did not acknowledge it as a significant fight, and I have no interest in watching any of it. Maybe when I get back I'll have look at a couple of highlights. Well, that's it. That's about the extent of it. But I did see, with the 2-minute round situation, I did see the old mate Skiddy Hussain had a really good opinion on it. He said, this is why we have issues with the scoring. Now, apparently it was a controversial decision going to Paul Gallen, which I was pretty happy about, if I'm being honest. I like Paul, but he wanted to fight 10-3s, but was overruled by Team Williams. Said, how can you score a fight properly when they're 2-minute rounds? He's 100% correct. I don't think by all accounts they went out there and went hell for leather. So you got 2 minutes, a little bit like the females, I suppose. They're pretty hard to sort of poke and prod and balk and feint and everything to try and set up punches in 2 minutes, especially only 8 2-minute rounds. So I just think there has to be maybe a rule going forward. Doesn't matter what the parties agree to behind closed doors. If it's a sanctioned professional male fight, it is 3-minute rounds. Look, if you don't want to fight the full distance, then do 6-3s if you have to, but make them 3-minute rounds. I just don't get it. But and then there was all the hoo-ha I see. I don't know where all this is coming from with the whole Mundine Green rivalry being relaunched. What are we talking about, guys? This is the Australian boxing media for you in a nutshell. You've got a young kid who looks, by all accounts, like he's got a bit of ability. Young Raheem, is it? Raheem the Dream. He's only had 2 fights, though. And then you've got the talking about him fighting or renewing the rivalry against Archie Green, Danny's son. The kid is 17 years of age and never had a fight, ever. Now, I'm hoping he does start his career. I think he did say he wants to have an amateur fight this year and get the ball rolling. That's great. I really hope he gets into it and does really, really well. Obviously, good pedigree there. But why is the Australian media talking up a potential fight to renew the Green Mundine rivalry with a 17-year-old kid who's never had a fight, ever, amateur or pro, and is a kid who still is in the novice stages of his training against, looks like, I don't know how old Raheem Mundine is, but he looks a lot more advanced and mature than young Archie. I mean, talk about grasping at straws. Now, look, it's a great little story. Again, gives the Australian boxing media something to talk about, and of course, a lot of people lap it up. But I mean, come on. Surely in this day and age, especially when the likes of Jai Pataya and the Maloney boys and even Liam Paro to some extent can't get a story between them in those major papers, and you've got this as some sort of headline: Green Mundine rivalry continues. If that fight ever happens, it could be 10 years away. Anyway, hey, look, no disrespect to any Green or Mundine fans or the family themselves. You know, I went to the Commonwealth Games with Danny and a few other tournaments with him as well. And as I said, I hope that young Archie is the goods and you know, becomes a world champion like his dad, and same as Raheem Mundine. But come on, guys, let's get real. There's a lot better things in Australian boxing at the moment to talk about than that. As I said, the Jai Patayas and Paros and Maloneys and Cambosises, all the girls as well. Anyway, they will continue to do it because I know that you will read it. Anyway, going back to the hotel for a bit of a lie down and a bit of a spell, and then back amongst it. Before I go back to the hotel, look at that. That is the MGM Grand Lion. Looks a lot better at night, but what an awesome statue that is. I forgot actually one thing, by the way. Sorry, guys. That Andrew Maloney's fight with Archie Cortez. Sorry, Andy, if you're watching this, forgot to mention your fight. Was supposed to be this weekend, I think, but it's been pushed back to August 9th. So best of luck to Andy, and can't wait to see him win that and get another crack at the world title. All right, time for just a little bit of something to eat, and then I'm going to head over and play some poker. Yeah, not much else going on tonight, I wouldn't have thought, but I feel like a bit of spaghetti or something. I know it's not overly healthy, but we'll give it a go anyway. And yeah, have a bit of an easier night. A few people around though. Alright, this is more like it. Spaghetti and meatballs and Mountain Dew. $12 plus $6 for the drink. A lot better than $23 for a coffee and banana bread. And that is Las Vegas at night. I don't think we saw any last night. We might leave it till tomorrow night to do a bit of a tour around Vegas for all the lights. But that just gives you an idea of what it's like up close and personal when the lights come on. There's a line at night, and out there is the south end of the strip. saw what's going on with the Mandalay Bay over there. It's in all, what's it, green, yellow and red. It's normally gold. And there's the Statue of Liberty there, the Excalibur. And of course the New York, New York.
Alright guys, well that's probably going to do it I reckon for this episode. As I said, I'll do a bit more of a look around tomorrow night, so a few of the sites at night, but at the moment, well tonight, for the rest of the night, I'm just going to go play some poker, chill, and get some sleep, ready for a big day tomorrow for the weigh and everything. Hope you've enjoyed episode number 8, and we will catch you tomorrow for episode 9.